broadcasting on the DVC to all points unknown. If you're within the sound of my voice, you're listening to Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
Hello and welcome home. Thank you for joining us on episode 64 of Welcome Home, a Disney Parks and Vacation Club podcast. I'm Tom. I've got Trevor and Damon here today. We got the whole crew together. How's it going, gentlemen?
What do we do at episode 100? What are we going to even do?
I mean, we're going to have to do something cool, right? I mean,
do we
we're
have
still
to
pretty
do anything
far
for
off,
75?
I mean, we could. Yeah, we could. We're not far off from that. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe we're at 64. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, it is.
It's been over 2 years now that we've been doing this.
Really? It doesn't seem like that long.
I know. It is. It's crazy, right?
I tell you, while I know people would like every week, I think that it not being every week has been helpful in keeping it sustainable for us.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah. It is a lot. If you ask anybody that does a weekly podcast, they will tell you it is a lot to do it every week. It is a lot of work to get a podcast done every week. Now, given our shows would be a lot shorter, we'd probably be under an hour. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Every time I tell my wife I'm going to be under an hour and a half, doing this podcast, she always like rolls her eyes at me because she knows it's never true.
Yeah, my wife doesn't believe me anymore when I say that.
It's like, no, we're going to keep it short this week for real.
Yeah.
Never does. Except for the one that Damon and I did before the D23 one when you couldn't join us. Yeah. We were like 45 minutes on that one, in and out. So,
like Trevor, no one's saying you're verbose though. That's not what we're getting at.
No,
not
but three of us definitely has a lot more to talk about than two, I think.
I would agree.
Oh no, that's totally true. Yeah, that's 100% true. So that's pretty funny. It's funny because if you look back at our very first podcast, I think we were at like 40 minutes. It was pretty short, and then we've slowly gotten ourselves to like an hour and a half, hour 45 every time. So, but anyway, let's continue on here. We've got a little bit of an announcement, right? I guess. Or
trumpet sounds? Are you inserting trumpet sounds here?
Yeah, there's going to be background. There's going to be trumpet sounds. Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
I'm going to put those in here.
Or kazoo.
A kazoo?
A kazoo. Burr, 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 burr. With a kazoo, I like that. So, as we've gotten, I don't want to say bigger because that makes it sound really arrogant here, but as we've gotten more and more likes on our Facebook page, you guys have been sharing more and more things to our Facebook page. The problem is Facebook doesn't do a very good job of telling us when you share things to our Facebook page. And truthfully, those things get kind of buried and we lose out on some of that interaction. So we've had a couple people ask us this for a while. Why don't we just start a Facebook group, right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start a Facebook group.
It's already been started.
Yeah, there's a secret Facebook group that we have that's already been started. But what we need help with is naming it.
Well, no. First, we need people. Yeah, we need people. Without people, we don't need to name it anything.
Well, we need a name, and we need to, we need both.
So I think the first thing is that, for anyone that's following us, we should be seeing a link to the Facebook page or to the Facebook group when this podcast goes live.
Yeah, and it will have a very generic vanilla Tom name. Kind of fitting.
What does that mean? I haven't heard anyone come up with anything better. So,
oh gosh, my vote will be for the Haunted River Country group. That will be that's what I vote for.
I mean, it's a good name. What we're going to do is we're going to put this page out there to everybody. We want to solicit your ideas for a name of our group. Once we,
that will be the first post. Well, it'll be one of the first posts.
Yeah, it'll be one of the first posts.
Yeah.
The pin post, yes.
And so we want your names. Well, whatever. We've done this before. If you've listened to the podcast for a long time, we had asked. We for a little while we did some mini episodes in between weeks. And when I say for a little while, I mean we did 2 of them.
They were great though, weren't they?
They were so good. I would love to get back to doing those. They were fun. Yeah, I think we should do those again someday when we have time.
I agree. Once I think life settles down here, I'm game to get into that again.
Yeah, those that haven't listened to the waitlist episodes, check those out because I think they're fun. So, but what were we talking about? Oh, so yeah, we need your name ideas, and we're gonna whittle them down to a couple options, and then we'll do a poll, and then whoever came up with that name, we'll send you something.
Wait, did you get the hats in yet?
I did not get that. They're currently being sewn.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So again, as we always talk about, there's only certain ways you can get hats.
Yep,
and this
that's
would be
right.
one of those ways.
This will be one of those ways to get a hat. So, and our California correspondent Gina emailed me a picture of her at Disneyland with our shirt too. So, Gina's already ahead of the game here.
That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah. Oh, also, Damon, I don't know if you heard this, and this is totally unrelated to the group, but our store, we can start selling pins. They launched a new product for pins, and I think we need to make a golden button, the golden I'm actually celebrating my birthday pin.
Ooh, that would be nice. And what, interestingly enough, is when I go in November, our friends, she's going to be there not actually celebrating her birthday, but celebrating her birthday, and I'm going to razz her about that. So, yes, that would be a great pin to have. I don't know when the next time I'll be there at my actual birthday. And we're going to miss my son's birthday by a day, so he wouldn't be able to wear it, nor would he wear it. Let's be honest, he's a teenager.
He's a teenager. He's not wearing a pin.
But, I might actually have to go to Disney in August just to wear my pin. We're already sidetracked. But what I was going to say is that, I'm already thinking about buying more points myself. And, we were talking about it because I think that what we're going to try to do is, even while our kids are, they're not in college yet, but they're getting close, is that we're going to try to take a short just us vacation to Disney every year, like a longer weekend sort of thing. So I might do that around my birthday. That would be interesting.
There you go. Then you can use your golden. We got to design it first, obviously, but
that's true.
It's something we can sell in our store now. But maybe we should go back to the Facebook group. I know this was an aside. I'm sorry. Do we want to tell people what the name of it is now so they can start joining it, or what do we want to do?
But just as Trevor said, when this gets posted, the link will be there. Telling them now doesn't help. No one's listening now, Tom.
Yeah,
that's true.
We can say it all we want, but it's not going to matter until this goes live.
That's true.
It's a fair point.
So for those of you listening, go to the Facebook page and you'll see the link.
Unless Tom forgot to post the link, and then well.
I mean, that's a distinct possibility. It is linked to our page somehow, though. It will be linked to our page somehow, so they should be able to get to it. But we'll send it out to everybody, and you can join the page, and we're gonna have some fun with it. It's gonna be. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be a different Disney group because there's a lot of Disney groups out there, but. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of our show interjected into it, and it's going to be a place where you guys can interact with us more and easier, I would say.
Yes, because while this episode happens to be a little bit heavy in listener emails, which we always love and are always enjoyable to go over, we've already had to cut out a few. And again, that's just the way it is with the podcast. Like Tom won't say it. The podcast is getting bigger. I mean, that's great. We love it, and that's why we continue to do it, because if it wasn't getting bigger, we'd all be very upset, crying in our corners, and, maybe we wouldn't want to do it. So the fact that we are getting a little bit bigger, it becomes a little bit harder to read everyone's, emails on the podcast episodes. But I can tell you that we will probably address every single one of them when they go on this Facebook page.
And it also instills a sense of community as well, right? Because, it's not just us, but, the list, like you guys listening to this, I'm sure you guys want to talk back and forth about, things that we say or stuff from the podcast. So it gives all of us that opportunity to communicate better.
And for everyone to make fun of me writing about how I go to bed early. So that's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I won't be responding from the hours of 8:30 in the morning to about 6:30 in the morning most nights, because I'll be asleep. But, other
8:30 at night, you mean, to 6:30 in the morning?
Sorry, 8:30 at night to 6:30 in the morning, yes.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. And that's the thing. So a lot of you guys really, you're doing this already. A lot of the responses that come from the episodes that we just talked about end up getting posted to our Facebook page, but nobody can really see that, and it ruins it because there's no discussion around it.
Well, the other thing is too, we've gotten a fair amount of messages, and we're going to get to this one eventually after we all stop talking about other things. But one of the things I got to talk about was a cruise thing. Or Tom, you didn't take that one out, did you?
No. That's the first question on there.
Oh, first question on there, right? And I had a great interaction with Christy, and again, we're going to address it for the rest of the people. But we had a lot of back and forth that I'm sure other people would have benefited from as well.
Sure, and I mean, we also, we talked to you. You shouted out, was it Disney Dads, right? Podcast,
yes. Yeah.
And we might try to do something with them in the future. We, shout out to, was Mike, I think, right, that reached out to us.
I believe so. Yes, I would love to do something with them. 6 people on a podcast. It might be 3 hours long, but
that would be so crazy. But I would love that.
I have to really book a day. I'd have to listen everybody. Can't have any events this day because I got a 3-hour podcast.
That would be amazing. I really want to do a crossover with them. I think,
it would work great as we do 3 hours. I mean, listen, 3 hours is crazy. Even if it was 2 hours, and they do, they get an hour, we get an hour.
Yeah, that's totally that'd be a lot of fun.
All right, it's 10 minutes in. Let's get to some listener emails. The first one's me.
So okay, yeah, this is all you right here.
All right. Hi guys. First off, I absolutely love your podcast. While it's not the only one I listen to, it's the one I'm going to start changing some grammar here. It is the one that I hope for new episodes of. All right, there we go. Okay. My name is Christy. I'm a family of 5 kids. They're 16, 13, and 7, which is very close to what my situation is. I'm at 15, 13, and 9. Anyway, we have been DVC members for 5 years, and we own 175 points, which is what I own. Resale at Animal Kingdom, and 50 points direct at Poly, which they have more points than me, which is great for them, which is why I was talking about buying more points. Anyway, I was hoping maybe you guys, or should I say specifically Damon, since he's one of the 3 of you that cruises, can do a segment soon about cruises. I'm currently shopping to book a cruise, and while I am, of course, leaning towards Disney, I need him to push me over the edge to get over the price tag. To be honest, I don't even know what questions to even ask, as we've never cruised before, period. One that comes to mind is will being DVC members be recognized even though we're paying cash? I'd love to hear about why Disney Cruise is the way to go, other than the other fact that it's Disney, I guess. What should I expect? So we had a long back and forth about this, and then I thought about it an awful lot. And I talked about this a little bit after one of my cruises. So I'm going to kind of paraphrase here, and you know what? I'm going to make some adjustments to my thought process here to hopefully make this easier for everyone, as well as Christy. And, the first thing is, yes, you will get recognized. Again, what did I win? I won like $250 at the DVC members mixer thingy. Like, it was awesome. So, like, they not only do they recognize you, but you have a chance to win prizes and all sorts of stuff. And like I said, I got a $250 credit, I think, on the boat, which is not something to sneeze at. The other thing is that's where I got my hats, buttons, all sorts of stuff. There's actually right next to the tech people, which there's a DVC little booth there. I also almost bought more points that cruise as well, but I did not, that being said. All right, so let's talk about just cruising with Disney. This is what I'm going to say. I made the point of the fact that Disney does not nickel and dime you, and they don't, right? So you're definitely paying more, but you're getting more. I think it really kind of boils down to a few different things. So again, I'm going to speak for what my opinion is here, and this is after speaking with Christy and, thinking about it some more. I kind of going to streamline it like this. I've been on cruises before I was on a Disney cruise. Disney's the best, no doubt about it. But if I was going on my first cruise, I don't know if I would necessarily pull a Disney cruise to start with. I think the one thing I worry about often is, especially my kids, they used to get car sick, is, what happens with a Disney cruise in terms, any cruise for that matter, in terms of, being a little sick, enjoying that atmosphere of a cruise. It is definitely a different atmosphere. Again, I love Disney the best, but I think if I was going to do my first cruise, I'd cut down the cost a little bit. I wouldn't do the extras, so I wouldn't necessarily go on a Norwegian Carnival or Royal Caribbean and be looking to do excursions, extra things. I would actually do kind of like a prep cruise, like a 3 to 4 day, Bahama prep cruise for a little bit of a cheaper price point to see what I felt about cruising. Because here's the thing. At the end of the day, if you don't enjoy cruising, it's a lot of money to put out for a cruise. And while I love cruising, I knew that before I got on the boat. So to go to a Disney after being on my first one was actually a Carnival. Again, there is no comparison there in terms of, what there is to do. But just kind of doing that cruise first and having this understanding of what, to expect, I think was worth it. The other thing is our first Disney cruise was a very short cruise as well. It was the double dip, though, at Castaway Cay, which was, again, unfortunately quite expensive, but nice. It was a 4-day, I believe. We got to Castaway Cay twice. I'm not a fan of the Bahamas, right? Like, I'm not a fan of getting off in Nassau. Like, that's not me. I enjoy the cruise portion of it. So I think if I was going to do a Disney cruise, I don't know, again, that would be the one I would do for 7 days, personally. But that all being said, my opinion is this. If it's your first cruise, I might consider a cheaper cruise line just to understand how you enjoy cruising and how you cruise, right? Like, because again, your first trip to Disney is different than your current trip to Disney. Most of the time you have a better understanding of what's going on. And if I was to do a Disney as my first cruise because you just feel that you need to, I don't think I'd do a 7-day. I'd do a shorter cruise. I'd get a bearing for how everyone feels during the cruise. Because again, it's not just the motion of the boat. It's the size of the rooms. It's the bathrooms. It's the showering. All of that is the same on every cruise ship, and it may not be your thing. and to spend a lot of money on something that's not your thing, be it Disney, Norwegian, whoever it is a difficult pill to swallow. Hopefully that answered somewhat of your question. I know that I was kind of, I was not making it any easier for Christy during our discussions, as I kind of was, trying to lead her down a path. But after truly thinking about it, that's my thought on cruising. Take it as you will.
Have you ever done like a combo where you go to Disney and then like go on the cruise right after, or is that...
I have not. I believe though that if I understand correctly, Katie, the person who was kind enough to bring us to Busch Gardens for the wolf exhibit, she's the wolf trainer there. I believe she just did that.
Oh, okay.
So if she's listening, which hopefully she is, she could also probably answer some questions as well. Again, that's my personal feeling, especially with kids that are a little bit older with that age. I mean, my kids, again, the Disney clubs are great. My kids were less interested in that because they were a little bit older. And then again, if you're less interested in the Disney clubs, right, I start to feel like, oh gosh, am I really utilizing the money that I'm spending on Disney? So my next cruise, which again, I'm going the opposite way because I'm trying to keep the cost down. I may end up doing a Norwegian, which also has 5-person rooms. And not doing any of the extra stuff, just to cruise. Because I just enjoy the cruising part. I enjoy the fact that my kids have no Wi-Fi and they have to sit and eat with us every time. So there's my benefit there as well. So again, hopefully that helps Christy out a little bit more. I know, like I said, we were going back and forth. And again, after thinking about it some more, that's kind of where I landed.
Did she have any follow-up questions that would also be good to answer? Or I'm not going to lie, your conversation was really long, so I didn't read all of it.
I think that probably answers most of what she was looking for at this point.
Okay, well, that's good.
I'd love to hear what she decides. I get the desire to want to do the Disney cruise. I get it, especially after being on one. I truly understand it. But I am very comfortable and confident on the fact that my family loves cruising. So I can spin that wheel. The other downside is, I'll be honest with you, I'm a big casino person, and there is no casino on Disney ships.
Gambling.
No. Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Listen, it makes sense on Disney because I wouldn't want to be stuck in the casino, and I might be stuck in the casino if they had one, right? I mean, but how cool would it be to have a Mickey Mouse roulette wheel? Anyway, that all being said, Donald Duck playing craps, I might be there. Right?
That would be kind of great. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it makes sense that there's no casino, but
and the thing is that I'll tell you, a cruise really brings the family together, and I know other and Disney as well, they offer Wi-Fi packages. Again, if you can really unwind and unplug, stay away from them. They're expensive, and honestly, it helps you kind of connect with your family as well. Listen, unless you have something at home you really truly have to deal with. But that being said, I think that was one of my favorite things is my kids had no Wi-Fi. Like, it was wonderful.
But I'm sure, that's great. I think it's a good thing to unplug. I'm like you, Damon. Actually, I the cruise I've done in the past, I enjoy sea days as opposed to being in port somewhere. So that's cool. That's cool. Anything, Trevor, you want to add? Or I know I definitely want to do a cruise in the next couple of years. I'm just waiting for my daughter to get a little older so she can enjoy it a little more.
So I think I'm gonna have to pull a Damon on this one and say kind of the same way you feel about Disneyland. Cruising is the same thing for me.
Hey, I can fully relate then. I get it, right? Like, I can understand. I mean, I might go to Disneyland next year, but that all being said, Trevor, I understand.
Yeah, I really badly want you to go to Disneyland. Sorry, Trevor, what were you going to say?
I really do as well. Just to go and just like, I want to go and wear my shirt and just have a big frown on the whole time and be like, have a video of myself just going, this is horrible. This place is horrible.
Angrily eating a churro.
Yeah, but secretly, like after the camera's off, like being like, oh, this is the best place ever. I can't believe I've never been here before.
I know what you mean, Damon. I know what you're in for.
and it's funny, Trevor, like I get it, right? Because like if you're not, and I guess this is kind of why I was telling Christy, right? She's never been on a cruise. Like you could think you're really gonna love a cruise and not love it, and then you could be like my wife, who really just was not, the cruising type. She's like, I don't want to go on a cruise. I don't want to go on a cruise, and I was like, well, you're going anyway, so either we're going without you or you can come with us. And then it was her favorite thing to do. She's like, oh my goodness, cruising is the best vacation I've ever had. So, it's a gamble, and I just feel like as for your first gamble, right, you should just keep the cost low. And again, the other thing is you get caught up with so much stuff that there's to do on the ship. Like, you don't get to do any of the excursion stuff that you might want to do on Disney. But if you had gone on a different cruise and didn't do excursions, you'd feel like you were, again, you need a trainer cruise sometimes. And I'd rather do a trainer cruise for a cheaper price.
And to your point about like how, you want to go to Disney, I would like to go on a cruise, but, again, with the issues my wife has had with motion sickness,
you shouldn't.
I don't want to push it. If an opportunity came up where, I ended up on a cruise for a couple of days, with some friends or something, yeah, I would probably take it. But as it stands right now, I don't see it happening.
And Trevor, here's the other interesting thing, again, as Tom can probably, attest to as well, is that, when we were in the New York area, the thing is you could take like, the cruises around like, Statue of Liberty and things like that to kind of like check yourself. You know what I mean? Like just to kind of check yourself. Now, it was interesting enough when I was in Hilton Head this time. I don't know if did I tell you guys we went sailing?
You didn't even tell us about your trip to Hilton Head at all, I don't think.
Oh, that's funny. We went to Hilton Head.
Okay.
But one of the things was my wife's father lives in San Francisco and he sails like across the globe sailing. So one of the things he wanted to do was he's like, you know what? He's like, I actually want to get everyone out on the sailboat and teach my boys how to sail. And I wasn't all that interested, but I said, all right, you know what? I'm game. And we went out there and I was like, okay, like my stomach's okay, right? Like I'm just okay. The boys were okay as well, but it was like this little like check of like, all right, I'm okay. Like I could do this. Like I could cruise. I think you almost need to do things like that first just to give yourself a check. And listen, doing it on a lake doesn't cut it, right? Like you got to hit the open water, like you got to hit the ocean and see what you can take, because my son was sick. When we went on one of our cruises, we were in a tropical storm. And listen, he threw up that night and I probably could have thrown up that night, but the food was just so good. There was no way I was letting it come back up. But like there was people throwing up all over the place, and it's the people that are a little bit more motion sickness. So Trevor, your best bet would be to do one of those around, what's out your way? What's the Alcatraz? Like, isn't there like a boat ride around that or something? Like something along those lines to get a feel for it. But if you have no interest, you have no interest. I don't think you'd ride 15, US grand on testing out that theory.
Exactly. And I think for us, like the best option would almost be like an Alaska cruise or something, because those actually...
yes.
Those go out of Vancouver, don't they?
They're close enough and they're cheap enough for us here.
Yeah, I'm very interested in that. I'll be honest with you, that's one of my goals, is the Alaska cruise.
I would love to do an Alaska cruise. That'd be awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, but you're totally right, though. I mean, there is quite a sticker shock when it comes to Disney and, like, with the Disney cruises, and because I've priced them out before many times. And to your point, like, the last place you want to be stuck on is a cruise ship for a week if you're motion sick, right? Mm-hmm. You're just going to be miserable for a week because there's nowhere to go to make it better.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, too, is like, people don't understand that if you have any sort of claustrophobia, those rooms are small. Like, they're not big. They're small. And if you're the sort of person like, this is funny. So here's a personal thing of mine too. I like my own bathroom. I like to be able to have the opportunity to use it when I would like. Having one very small bathroom for 5 people with no real other good avenue for a bathroom is difficult, right? Like, especially if you don't feel well because you're on a cruise or you ate too much. Listen, everyone's going to eat way too much, right? It is going to make that bathroom have a higher usage than you think, because you're eating a lot of food at all times. So again, there's no, for people that cruise, they fully understand this. You need like some like sort of like poopery or some sort of like, that bathroom is right there. Like, again, these are all things that like you need to make sure that you're comfortable with before you're a week of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually, it's funny you talk about that, because we've been going through this home reno for the last couple of months, and we lost 2 of our bathrooms, and
brutal, isn't it?
Yeah, we were all sharing a bathroom, and that you're absolutely right. Is
brutal
when you're used to having your own space, and then suddenly everybody's sharing the same space. It's not fun.
No, my parents are living with us now as their construction on their part of the house, gets done for us. So we just lost 1 bathroom, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is the worst thing ever, right? And we have 5 bathrooms, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine losing, 2. I feel for you. Like, I feel like I was in college. Gosh, we've talked way too long about this. I got to move us on here. And Tom was like, you know, hey, this one's going to be so short because all we have is email stuff. Tom, we're almost at half an hour.
We're still on cruising.
We have a tendency to elaborate a lot on things, which is why we have long episodes. So,
but I think that's good.
This is a long one. I don't want to read this one.
Trevor, you want to read this one?
Yeah, I'll take a shot at this. All right.
It's not that long.
Well, okay, it's split up into a couple of points, though. All right, so Robert wrote in and he says, "Hey guys, you always say on the podcast to reach out on Facebook, so that's what I'm doing. So thank you, Robert. Wanted to tell y'all a quick story. I've been listening to your show for over a year now. My wife and I went to Disney on our honeymoon about 3 years ago and have pretty much gone every year since then. About a year and a half ago, I started researching DVC and mentioning to her, and things didn't really seem to click. We just went on a trip a week ago, right before the Galaxy's Edge previews, and I talked her into taking the DVC tour because it was very hot and they promised us AC, ice cream, and free fast passes, which, I mean, those are all, that's all good reasons to take the tour, even if you're not planning on buying.
It's dangerous.
Yeah. They missed the ice cream, which that's okay. But other than that, they got the whole tour experience. They're driven around backstage and he says they gave them fast passes at the drop of a hat. Robert goes on to say he mentioned to his tour guide that he had been researching and had been trying to convince his wife, and that he said the tour guide knew from that moment that he had us. I don't feel that the tour guides really work that way. Like it's not really pressure, but I know what you mean, Robert, is that I'm sure they figured out that, you were just needed that push over the fence. He graciously explained everything to her in a way I had not been able to, and I saw the light bulb go off. I was also able to answer some clarifying questions about dues, financing, perks, and buying through Disney versus resale, which I would have thought of without I would not have thought of without your podcast. So, okay, good. I'm glad that we helped you out there, Robert. Long story short, he says we flew back home as members of Copper Creek, and he's already trying to find a way to add on more points than 75. The thing that got them is that they've been staying at Pop Century for the last few trips, but with the gondolas coming in, the price of the rooms at the Pop has almost doubled for some nights next year. I didn't realize this. I guess that kind of makes sense because they're getting their own transportation.
I assume that would happen, like you get the monorail premium, but I mean, I don't routinely check, Pop Century prices, so.
Right. And yeah, but I guess, because I thought Pop was like a value resort, right?
Yeah,
so
Pop is value. Yeah.
It is.
So they're bumping it up because it has direct transportation? That's interesting.
I don't know if they're bumping up from a value. I think the price is just changing. I don't, I think it's still a value, but it's just not as good of a value. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. The days of under $100 a night are I don't want to say gone, but,
Yeah. Not very often anymore.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, all right. So to continue on with what Robert was saying, he says he saw that his monthly cost for financing with Disney was less than what they were saving monthly for this past trip, and would give them a deluxe resort for 48 years.
Yeah.
Minus your dues.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's the thing is
people forget about those.
Yeah, you are going to pay the dues, which that's a bit of a shock at first. But again, if you factor in that and everything, you're still coming out ahead. Yeah. So yeah, Robert goes on to say, thanks for letting me know what questions to ask, and they're super excited. So we're so glad that we were able to help you get into this. He does have a couple of questions as new members. So Robert says, anyway, to us, for our family of two, one of us being a teacher.
Wait, you skipped over the biggest part, though.
What was that?
The for now.
For now.
So that means that they're planning.
They're planning, yes.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So family of two for now. So yeah, possible kids on the way. And one of them being a teacher, they're locked into summer travel. Their DVC guide said, or they made it sound like 75 points was plenty for a week. But when Robert goes online to do hypothetical trips, he's having a hard time finding anything under 100 points.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So let's start with this. There's a couple of questions after this, but let's start with this statement. So he was told 75 points is enough to do a week, which
It can be for two people.
yeah, at Saratoga and Old Key West, I'm pretty
Tower Studio at Riviera at some point you could do pretty cheap.
Yep. Yeah.
That one thing at Animal Kingdom, which is forever booked, but my friend always seems to get. That one's pretty cheap too.
The Value Studio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like 6 of them.
I don't know. He always seems to get it. It's so annoying.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess, Robert, to help you understand this, is if you're looking exclusively at your home resort, Copper Creek specifically,
good luck.
for that time of year, you're not going to find anything for 75 points.
That's going to be tough.
Yeah, and I guess, so what I would recommend, and I went through this too, is I was trying to figure out, they tell you, oh yeah, you only need this many points, and when you start looking at it, that points will get you into certain resorts, and places like Saratoga Springs and Old Key West are not a problem. But you do have to also look at, what I would recommend is there's point charts that show you that there's 4 different seasons of DVC. I can't remember what they are. It's basically,
They've like fun season,
Value.
adventure season.
Oh, is it like that? I thought it was.
yeah, they call it adventure or something. So basically, value up to premium, right? And there's 4 of them. The value is obviously there's some weeks of the year, and these are usually like very
Adventure,
off-season.
Choice, Dream, Magic, and Premier.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, so adventure is like the cheapest ones, and then Premier is expensive. Unfortunately, if you look at the price points for like
I
summer
got the charts
holidays
up.
and
Where are we
stuff-
talking about now? Let's go to Saratoga
Yeah,
for argument's sake, right?
Yeah, let's
It's
do an
like
example.
June to August, right? That's probably when teachers are off, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, if you're looking at the adventure season, it is a deluxe studio, right? Is 11 points Sunday through Thursday. But then again, so this is just for, some understanding of premier season, that's 20. So, I mean, that's a big difference for a week. You know what I mean? Like, that's a 50-point difference.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
And that's the thing. It all depends on when you go and
So
where
this
you
is
stay.
interesting, though. So June through August, right? This is kind of what we were talking about. A deluxe studio is 106 points.
For a week.
Yep, but if you go to the end of Dream season, you're at 99 points for a week. And then Choice season's 92, and then Adventure season's 83. So, again, at Saratoga, 75 is still not going to cut you a week unless your week doesn't
Monday.
include...
Doesn't
Monday to
include the
Friday.
weekends. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
As soon as Friday and Saturday get a lot more expensive point wise, but
And what would you... Old Key West is the cheapest, right? So Old Key West during the June through August is 108. I'm just kind of, giving a glance over here. And then he was at Copper Creek, though, right?
yeah, copper's a little more expensive, I think.
127.
Yeah.
So that's what you have to understand. I mean, just again, throwing random numbers out, but, understanding that there are different places to stay that can save you some points. But I still did not see anything under 75. I don't know where the heck that was for a week.
What's the Tower Studio for Riviera?
The Tower Studio for Riviera.
Yeah.
Tower Studio for that season is 132, my friend.
What? Mm-hmm. I had not looked at
It's
this before.
81 for Adventure season.
Yeah, for adventure season it is. Okay.
Yeah, but for his time frame, it's actually more expensive than the other places for the Tower Studio. So that Magic season from June 11th to August 15th is 132 points.
Well, truth be told, it's. I mean, what you're Robert, what you'll realize quickly is it's all about proximity to stuff, right? So a lot of the reasons why the Riviera would be more expensive or Copper Creek would be more expensive is you're close to Magic Kingdom, you're close to Hollywood Studios, and plus the access to the transportation. We were joking about the monorail premium, but the monorail premium is now also the gondola premium, and those apply to DVC points too. I mean, those are built into those things too. So
I don't know. If I was him, I'd buy the extra 25 points. Well,
Yeah.
I'd actually buy an
Yeah.
extra 50 points. Sorry to say, Robert. I think that would make you a lot happier.
I would go 50 resale if I were you.
All right, so hold on. Let me get back to this resale thing.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I fully understand this. You guys, because you were grandfathered in, right? And this is for everyone else too. Again, I know the answer to this, but let's go down this path so everyone understands again, right?
Yeah.
So for you guys, because you got grandfathered in for resale, you're allowed to go with your resale points to any of the original 12?
We can use all the resorts because we're grandfathered in.
You can use all the resorts, even new ones?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then what happens now for resale is that if you bought resale, you can only use the original 12, not the new ones?
Isn't it 14?
It's 14.
14, whatever. Okay,
Yeah, it's
14.
original
So you can
14,
use
yeah.
Original 14.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be able to, any resale points you buy now, you would not be able to use at the Riviera or Reflections or any future DVC resort.
Unless
that
you
makes a little bit of a
specifically
difference.
bought resale at Riviera.
Yeah, exactly, unless you specifically bought resale there.
But everyone that was grandfathered in is good for, well,
Yes. Everyone who's
currently,
grandfathered is good.
they're currently good.
Yeah.
Unless they decide to make changes. But for right now, you're currently good. So
Yeah.
it is possible, though, that, buying resale now, if you want to stay at, the originals, it's fine. You're good.
Well, for me personally, like even if I wasn't grandfathered in, if I badly wanted to stay at Riviera and I didn't have the points for it, I would just either rent my points out that year and
There
pay
you go.
cash or, something like that. But I mean, your direct points, Robert, those 75 direct points can be used towards Riviera. You just wouldn't be able to use whatever resale points if you were to buy resale points.
Yeah. And I really, thinking about it at the end of the day is I know some people, it doesn't matter where they stay, but if, you decided that you really did want to stay at Copper Creek, kind of what Damon's saying is, I would look at getting yourself enough points to cover it through a year. So, I'll use myself as an example. Was we went in, we talked with our guide, and we settled on 100 points to start. And that was going to the Polynesian. And we knew full well that the weeks we were looking at were it was 118 points that we were looking at per week. And so the thought was, we would borrow from subsequent years, and the idea being that we wouldn't necessarily go every year. That kind of changed because as we started going, we realized we wanted to go, every year.
How many points are you guys both up to now?
So I'm at 175 now.
I've got 210.
All right, so I have to buy more points just to be ahead of Tom now. Okay, I get it. I just want to make sure. All right.
Yeah. And so that's what happened with us is that, we looked at it, we went, okay, we can keep, trying to figure out, cause I guess, in your case, Robert, you have those 75 points, but remember that you can borrow from the next year. So if you did want to stay for a full week, you can do that this year, but then next year.
150 points, yeah. He can go every other year for 150 points.
Exactly. That's the thing is you could go DVC every other year using your 75 points, and that's quite doable. You can manage this, and again, in the short term, it works, but it sounds like you're going to want to get yourself.
You're anything like the three of us, you're going to want more points.
Yeah, basically after about a year,
enough.
you're going to be like, okay, let's get enough points so that, again, for myself is, I know I want to go 1 week a year. We've got enough points now that we can go 1 week a year, and we go to the resort that we want to. So that's the two criteria that we had. If you don't necessarily care about the resort, you can look at these point charts, figure out for the season that you're going, what are the lowest amount of points that you could go with. But you also want to shoot above that because remember that points do change every year. They do reallocate points across the different seasons. So even though this year
you can bank points, so it's always fine to have extra points.
Exactly. Yeah, having
I've
a bit
never
extra.
had that problem.
yeah. I'm still not banking points. I don't know
So
how
I've been
that
banking. I've been banking points, but the problem that I'm having is that I need to go to that 2-bedroom. I really, truly do, and that puts a big whooping on my points.
Big jump.
Yeah,
it is a big jump.
Yeah. So Robert, I would recommend, try out your first trip. You don't have to run out right now and buy more points. I would say try your first trip. If you find you have to borrow from next year, do so. You can do that, and that's fine. When you get the feel for it, and if you decide that, maybe you can do a Monday to Friday trip, you may be able to start looking at stuff that is in that 75-point range. If you find that you want to do a full week, you may want to look at having more points to make sure that you can cover the entire week on every single trip.
And it would be a Sunday through Thursday trip you'd want to make.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I guess, Sunday to Thursday, not Monday to Friday.
even if you look at it though too, he doesn't have to borrow the whole 75, right? If he only needs
Correct.
If he only needs, let's say, 105,
It seems like he's looking at the 108 range. Yeah, like that would be. Yep.
So maybe you borrow 30 points, and then you have 45 left over for that year, and then from the next year you borrow 30 points.
And how many can you buy each year again? Is it 5, 10?
The extra
24.
points. 24.
Oh yeah. See, so there's another option for him as well.
Yeah, you can also do that too.
So we should explain that, right?
Points.
Yeah, the one-time use points. Is that once every year you can do that, right?
Yeah. Once a year you can pay. It's was it like $19 a point or something like that?
I actually don't know what it is at right now. They changed it fairly recently, but I'll tell you in a sec.
Yeah.
While I look up the points for the Grand Villa, I'm just going to get enough points so I can say weekly at the Grand Villa during Magic season for 800 points, and you all can suck it.
Oh, look at Trevor with the correct information. 19 per point. Look at that.
I mean, are you surprised? That's Trevor's role on the show. He's got
We talked about that like 2 months ago, so it's filed in my brain somewhere.
I have to say, talking about blowing through points, I've blown through all my 2020 points already. I have like 35 points left for 2020 because this coming vacation in 3 weeks here just destroyed my points. I mean, you're talking about the 2-bedroom Damon. 2-bedroom Savannah View at Animal Kingdom is 300 points.
I'm going to say when we get 100,000 people on our Facebook page, Tom is going to get the Grand Villa, the 3-bedroom Grand Villa. And we're going to invite, let's see, there's 3 of us. So we're going to invite our 9 favorite people from the board, and we're going to go there for a week during Magic season.
There you go. I was thinking, welcome home cruise. You were talking about getting on a cruise.
Didn't the what's it called guys do that? Didn't the Disney dads I think did a cruise?
Did they?
With their people. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
I know our buddy Chad's doing it with.
But then
his
Trevor's not coming.
too.
So what's the there's no if Trevor doesn't come, it's not truly a welcome home.
It's a show trip.
I could come. It's just I would have to do a lot of explaining to my wife. So.
We wouldn't want to make you do that. We'll keep it on the ground for now.
Yeah, that's we still have to do a Disney World trip together.
That's got to be first.
Yeah. We've had a lot of listeners reach out and wanting to meet us and stuff like that too. But although I also have a feeling like we'd have a meetup in the park and like no one would come. So.
Well, we'd have to pick a resort first, right?
Yeah,
and then we'd all have to stay there, and then we'd have to see if we can get other people to stay there with us. We have to at least get like 10,000 people on the Facebook group before like we feel like maybe someone might show up.
That's exactly right. So,
I mean, if Tom's paying, that's a different story, right? If Tom's paying for dinner for one night, then we'll all show up.
I don't know how we got to this point.
You have the most points. That's the way it works.
We were originally talking about how to help Robert with his DVC points, but
I think we helped
planning
Robert,
a trip.
though.
So
I think we helped Robert.
Maybe we should continue talking about that and then get away from Tom paying for things.
I think we helped Robert, though, didn't we?
He's got some more questions, though. I think.
Questions, okay.
So he was asking about, are we okay with the 75 points? And then he goes on to say, also, when we're booking through Disney, we were able to request certain rooms or room types either through our travel agent or through touring plans. Is there a similar feature when you book a DVC room? For example, I prefer a quieter room or one closer to transportation, or you're just kind of stuck with what they give you.
That's interesting.
The short answer to this is you can phone member services and you can ask for you can
anything
ask
you want, pretty much.
Yeah, you can
Nothing's
ask for things.
Though,
yeah,
right?
they won't guarantee you a room. So for myself as an example, we stay at the Polynesian and we like to stay in the Moorea building. So there's 3 different buildings, but we like Moorea, and so we ask specifically we want to stay there and we want to stay on an upper floor. Are the 2 things that we ask for. You can say top floor, but they will always put it in as upper floor. So you will never be guaranteed, I want to be on, the 4th floor or whatever. So yeah, you can phone them and you can ask for any number of things and they will try their best to accommodate you on it. The other thing to keep in mind with that is it is first come, first serve. So, if you know well ahead of time that you're going and you want to stay in a particular area of your resort, book it as far out as you can and phone in and get those requests in right away. Don't leave it until right beforehand.
Yeah, and you can also do it through online check-in too. You can do those requests. I don't know how if they're as effective, but
they do have them. But when I looked at them, it was like there was a drop down and there was like 4 options, and it was like near elevator, not near elevator, like yeah.
I agree. I guess I just mean for him. So you got to look at it this way, Robert. You're used to staying like by booking through Disney packages. It's pretty much the same setup with booking a DVC stay, meaning, you still have My Disney Experience. You still get to see all that stuff on that page. It just shows up as a hotel reservation. You can still do the Magic Band. You still do all the same stuff pretty much. It's just, the way your hotel is reserved is not through cash, it's through points. And, it is going to be a little different for you too, because it sounds like you're used to buying the packages, right? So, maybe your dining's included, your tickets are included and all that fun stuff. But, now you're going to have to buy your tickets separately, which is a whole nother thing because you can, find some good deals on tickets. Maybe you're going to go, twice within a year, and it makes more sense for you to buy annual passes with the discount that we get.
Yeah.
So that's some stuff you'll have to consider too, because you're used to buying packages where everything's just together. Now everything's kind of separate, so there's a little more strategizing that has to go on when you book your vacation.
Did we just spend 50 minutes on user?
We did.
Emails? We did.
Mm-hmm. We did. And we should. Unless there's anything else you want to mention about this, we do need to talk about our friends at DVC Rental Store.
Yes.
But yes, we do need to do that.
All right, okay, let's.
Unless there's anything else you want to mention, Trevor or Damon, about that topic.
Nope.
No, I think we're good. I think, or for Robert, if you have any more questions or if you want us to clarify anything we've said, email us back and we'll help you out as best we can. And then, of course, as we say at the end of every podcast, this is just our opinion, but you can also phone member services and they can help you with a lot of this stuff too.
Yeah, remember now, Robert, you are a VIP, okay? You are better than everybody else. So, kidding, everyone. No, but seriously, because you're an owner, you own part of Copper Creek. You look at your deed, you own a piece of property at Disney World now. So, there is a different, I want to say that there is a little bit of a different level of service.
Property?
You a very small piece. You own a door at Copper Creek.
Really, that's not the way I figure it in my head. But okay.
If you read the deed, it actually says that you own part of a unit.
You own a percentage of a unit, yes.
All right.
Yeah.
It's legitimate. But I do feel like there is a little bit of a higher level of customer service for DVC members than I got before. Because you're a member, you do get some... it feels that way anyway. Maybe it's just our own inflated sense of of having a DVC membership.
Tom is going down a very bad path. Please stop.
No. We talked about this before. Listen. I'm not trying to say the DVC members are better than anybody else. It's a joke. I'm kidding. Please, nobody write me. All right, so go ahead, Trevor. Let's write about DVC rentals.
So yeah, let's switch from using our points to renting our points.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
All right. So, are you a frequent Disney visitor and want to save hundreds, even thousands on your next Disney trip? The DVC Rental Store wants to help you book your dream vacation for less. DVC members, this is great news for you too. Want to rent your points for some quick cash? DVC Rental Store wants to work with you, and they are currently renting out points at a record pace. For years, the DVC Rental Store has been helping guests stay at Disney Deluxe resorts at an affordable price, while also paying members the highest price for their points. Want to learn more? Go to dvcrentalstore.com or call 1-855-DVC-RENT, that's 382-7368, and let them know that Welcome Home sent you. Again, that's dvcrentalstore.com or 1-855-DVC-RENT.
Man, that was
Yay.
great. That was excellent.
I put on my announcer voice for that one.
That's good.
You should have just recorded that so we could use it for next time.
I'm just gonna reuse that every time now. That was flawless. Excellent.
All right. Well, almost.
They're going to keep being our sponsor now. We're going to have them for years.
All right, can we talk about Reunion Station before I have to go to my daughter's soccer game? All the haters, I want to make sure they understand why I'd be leaving early. It's okay if I leave early to watch my daughter play soccer. I hope it is.
Not allowed. It's not allowed. Everyone just assumes you're going to go to sleep. Yeah.
It's only 3:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah, it's
not. I mean, let it be 8:00. That'd be a different story. But.
Okay, so do you want me to read this story? Or you want to read this? This is cool.
I'll read it. So, this is part of DVC News. Reunion Station Game Day Lounge for Disney Vacation Club members is coming soon to a Disney's Wilderness Resort. Coming soon to Disney's Wilderness Lodge.
Wilderness Lodge, yeah.
Yeah, wow. I'm not Trevor. I can't handle it like that.
Do we want to explain what Reunion Station is? Because a lot of people probably don't know what that is, even though we've talked about it 100 times on the show.
Reunion Station's a place at Copper Creek that nobody's ever used. Sorry, that was mean. But
no, it's a gorgeous building that Disney can't figure out what they want to do with it.
Yes. So yeah, it is at Copper Creek, and it's supposed to be all themed around. I believe I want to say around the Gold Rush era, or when the trains were expanding out west and all that. It's supposed to be that kind of theme to the building, but they keep changing what they're doing with it because, like you said, Tom, they don't know what they're doing with it.
Yeah, exactly. So, Damon, you want to keep reading this? I'm sorry we interrupted you. Did we lose Damon? Or did he lose his mute button again?
I think he lost his mute button.
Damon.
Wait, did I lose my mute button?
You did. Now you're back.
Oh,
there
man.
you are.
Gosh. I keep on, Tom was supposed to get us mics, everyone, but for some reason, he hasn't gotten them, so I have to deal with what I got.
I'm a busy man. I got stuff going on.
It's literally 3 clicks, but that's okay.
All right.
That's okay.
All right.
So because I was on mute, I was speaking a little bit, but that's fine. So there's a lot of information here, but so it's around football, right? So I mean, it's pretty much they're talking about they're turning it into a game day sort of lounge for football games on select Saturdays and Sundays. So looking at this schedule, I don't know if that must mean. Is it just NFL or is it college as well? I'm kind of looking at the dates here.
If it's Saturday, it's college as well, right?
Well, not always, right? Because there is NFL games on Saturday. If Tom was actually a real fan of the Giants, he would know that. But that's okay.
Our teams play the first week here, so this is going to be fun.
They do. And I was the one that moved the podcast because I didn't want to miss it. You were the one that didn't seem to care all that much. But that all being said, based on the schedule that I see here, there's a fair amount of Saturdays early in the season, which I don't believe that those are NFL games, so it must be college football. But it's select games. So when somebody had actually asked us on our Facebook page if that meant what did that mean? Like, is it going to be select games, all the games? I don't know the answer to that. My gut tells me it's going to be a fair amount of games. I don't think it's just going to be one game. So what this place will do, I'm hoping, is there should be a few games on, but there'll be games. There's going to be food and there's going to be beverages. So it will, admission to Reunion Station to view 2 football games, so the game starting at 1 o'clock and then the afternoon games, a menu of delicious food, and 2 complimentary adult beverages per adult ages 21 and up. If not, you can get a Dole Whip or ice cream bar in lieu of them, and fun halftime activities. So this menu, the menu wasn't really it was okay, right? So teriyaki
Sounds
wings,
good to me.
Angus beef chili, cheesy brisket. Remember, I'm not a beef person, so I have to look kind of here. But I do go with the assorted finger sandwiches and crudité featuring ranch and hummus, and I'm a big hummus person.
Oh, there you go.
Flavored house-made potato chips. That sounds good too. And cookies and cupcakes. That's definitely a win.
Right.
So, the price is $50 per adult, which I don't think is that bad, to be honest with you. And then $30 per child ages 9 and under, which I'm never going to see again. Reservations are required.
Yeah.
Reservations are required. So this is something to me I think sounds awesome. I think the price is actually good. I think overall this is a win for football fans.
I totally agree with that, because if $50 you get 2 alcoholic drinks and it sounds like all you can eat food, and you can stay there for 2 different games. So they'll do a morning game, a 1 o'clock game and an afternoon game.
So figure you're there from 1 to 7.
Yeah, you could just be there from 1 to 7 eating all day for $50 and drinking.
Well,
that's
hold on
not
a second,
bad.
though, but I don't think that the food's all the time, right? Wasn't it that they said that they would come out twice with food? Isn't it something like that I was reading? Or am I mistaken on that? I thought I read something along those lines.
I didn't see that.
I don't think it's I don't know if it's an all you can eat all day for 6 hours. I don't know if they would win on $50 on that. I'll be honest with you.
Probably not.
So I think it's more of a twice they come out sort of food thing, and I don't think it. I mean, listen, I don't know. I'm making the assumption though, because again, if you were talking all you can eat, that would not be $50 would be a bargain. I would be signed up right now eating.
So looking
I'd be eating smoked turkey sandwiches over and over and over.
Looking on the page, it says hot food options will be served at 2 different times during the event and may include, and then they list everything. So the hot food comes out twice, and then they have the cold selections of things, which
you can eat as much ranch and hummus dip with your crudité as you'd like.
I guess
potato chips. I might be able to eat $50 worth of hummus. It may be possible. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure.
Well, if you think about it though, too, with how much alcoholic drinks cost at Disney, I mean, you're talking $10 to $12 a pop usually, at least. So right there, just the 2 alcoholic drinks are going to equal half of it.
Or a Dole Whip and a Mickey bar.
Yeah,
that would be me. Dole Whip and Mickey bar.
Yeah, I'd be down with the Dole Whip.
Here's the interesting thing. So it says it's offered from 12:30 to 8. That's interesting. I would be down for this. I'm trying to think if I can fit it into my schedule. I don't think gosh, that would be a weird day. I feel like I could do it on the 1st and then go to the park at night for the, what's it called?
For the Christmas party?
Yeah, I bought my tickets for that, I think, already. I think I said that already. I think so. I have to actually go back and look, but I think I did. I think I did buy them already. Yeah, I've been kind of ahead of the game for this trip because I know this trip is going to be at night, right? So I said that today. I was talking to my wife and I was like, oh yeah, I have to kind of, pace myself because this is going to be one of those trips. It's going to be, we wake up a little later, and stay a little later at the park. So it will be interesting. We'll see what happens.
So you're actually doing some planning this trip then?
A little bit. So the thing is my son's actually got a swim meet that next weekend in Charlotte, which actually I'll probably see Tom if that's the case.
Ooh. Nice. Look at that. Yeah, I get a visit.
you get a visit. So we'll be there from, I'll be at Disney until like Wednesday, and then I'll be in Charlotte Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But the thing is that, kind of throws off his scheduling. So I have to figure out what the gym situation is. But that all being said, we're going to be going later in the day. So there'll be a lot more planning for this trip just to, kind of get all that accomplished.
So looking at the schedule, Damon, so for both you and us, it looks, because we're there a couple weeks before you, there's one day...
Wait, are you going to do this? Oh, you don't really care for football that much.
Well, yeah, no. So yeah, for myself personally, this doesn't interest me, but I think it's a great idea because, yeah, like you said, for football fans, this sounds like it could be a very worthwhile thing to do.
But even think of it too, like even if you're not a football fan, it's almost like a member mixer. You could just not watch the football and eat food and talk to people.
Yeah. People don't like being talked to when they're watching football, Tom. Any true fan would know that.
That's true. That is actually true.
You hang out by the snack table and socialize.
There you go. Yeah. Sorry, Trevor. What were you going to say?
Well, so my question was, like, for myself, I've already got our week pretty much planned at this point, so I'm not going to factor this in. But I guess if you were going to do this, like you said, you're thinking about working.
I kind of want to do it, but I don't think I can do it either. Yeah, like do this and then go to the Christmas party on the 1st. I don't know. I feel like my trip. The thing is, my trip over Thanksgiving is not long enough where I have the time to do this. But that's the problem. Because it's a really benefit. I think you do have to sit there for 2 games. I'm like, oh gosh, that sounds awesome. But only if I was there for a week and wanted a relaxing day, right? Like you're still at Disney at the end of the day. Right. I think this is the overall problem with Reunion Station, right?
Exactly.
You're at Disney, and you're going to sit around and watch TV.
That's my problem with it too. Like I like the idea of it, but I have a hard time. Even we're taking a pool day on this vacation, and that's killing me deep inside.
We keep saying that we'll take a pool day, and we never really take a pool day.
We take a pool day, and then we still go back to the Magic Kingdom.
You still end up going back anyway, right?
Yeah. It's true. I mean, we start off at the pool, and then we spend our morning there, and then we're like, okay, let's get out of the pool and go to Magic Kingdom, because why not?
Yeah, and I can't see. I'm gonna have a hard time with it. We've never done this before, so.
Gosh, I have literally 10 minutes before the soccer game, and I'm very disappointed because I want to talk about everything. So I'm going to talk about it all, and then I'm going to have to go.
You're just going to do a fast forward here, and then we're going to talk about it in more detail.
I agree. So virtual queue, don't care, right? I mean, it is what it is, right? That doesn't affect me at all.
Sure.
If there is, it is. Oh, gosh, I have to skip over the Rise of Resistance preview because that's what I'm going to talk about the most. Theme Coca-Cola stand. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty awesome. I'm down with that. The TSA policy on thermal detonator bottles, don't care, I drive. New Star Wars hotel in the engineering room. It actually looks kind of cool because they said the engineering room is going to be for kids playing. That's kind of neat. Like, I get it. Like, that's definitely going to be awesome. Let's see. Disney continue to offer bus transportation, don't care. Construction walls, don't care. Patent catapult system, don't care. Okay, good. So I can go back to talk about what I want to talk about, which is the Rise of Resistance preview. dude, this ride looks like every ride should look at Disney.
Yeah.
Like, this is Disney. Like, this thing looks crazy. So not only was there an official preview, there's before that there was the unofficial preview, which probably led to the official preview.
Yeah,
but
that's probably why they had to put it out, right?
Well, and here's the thing: people are getting in already.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen tons of people that have already gotten in, and they're just like floored by this. Just looking at this thing, not even in action, just absolutely floored. And I think that a lot of that has to do with the AT-ATs, right? We had the whole conversation, AT-ATs, AT-ATs, whatever you prefer.
I can never remember which one it is.
I know there's something in canon that tells us what they are, but
I've always said
whichever one you
AT-AT, but I think that's wrong.
Okay, so we'll go AT-ATs, right?
Yeah.
So the AT-ATs and the Mount of Stormtroopers. And again, these animatronic stormtroopers, all have little like nuances to them and things like that. This is going to be unreal. This is something that is going to compete on the same level as Harry Potter, I believe, and it might even surpass that immersion factor. I can't believe I'm going to miss it by like 3 days. You have no idea how hurtful this is. How absolutely hurtful this is. And the thing is I don't have season passes, so I can't even just like go back. You know what I mean? Like just drive down there for 10 hours and just go one day to go and then come back. And it's just bad. It's just a bad feeling. But for next time, I guess it will be there and it will be well worth going. Or there might be some previews. Maybe it will open a day early.
I think I'm hoping you get lucky and there's a couple days early that it's open, or maybe you can get yourself some press passes and do a press event.
I will have to ask. This one I think I'm going to ask for. I've had to pull in a few favors for some Disney stuff recently, so we'll see if I can ask those same people. So we shall see.
Like, there's so many interesting things about this ride, and I know, Trevor, you're super spoiler averse, so I don't want.
Oh yeah, sorry, Trevor.
No, it's fine. No, I'm as curious as you guys are. It's just I don't want to see it. Is all.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think that the fact that there's the AT-ATs, there's a Star Destroyer hangar bay. Trevor,
with
again,
200 stormtroopers in it.
I'm already aware of this stuff.
Yep, I've read TIE fighter. I don't think there's 200 stormtroopers. Now you're being a little crazy.
No, I think I read 200
Is it
stormtroopers.
200?
But still, like that's a massive room full of stormtroopers.
Yeah, but I like the fact that it's trackless ride. And again, there's a lot of rumory information out there too. But it almost seems like there might be different ride systems throughout the ride.
Oh yeah, there are. Yeah, there are. So there's supposed to be like, so to me the coolest thing I've heard described is that when you first start you get in on like one of those like transport carrier things.
Is it crazy that it makes me feel a little Ellen-ish?
Oh, that there's multiple like, yeah, I get that. Yeah.
How long is it supposed to be again?
Well, there's been a lot of rumors about that. They're saying that the actual ride experience is like, I think 8 to 10 minutes, but like the whole experience overall is like 45 minutes, because there's like that first part when you're getting on, is that really a ride experience? It's like a little simulator type thing. And then there's a part where you walk, like I think the part with the stormtroopers, I actually think you walk through that whole bay, because you end up in jail.
About that.
Yeah. I think you do. And then there's trackless vehicles, and then at one point you get into the trackless vehicle goes into a room and turns into like Star Tours, and then there's
I hope that you're not
stuff.
walking, because here's the problem with that, is that if you're walking through, then they're going to have like ropes so people don't touch stuff, and then once you put ropes up, that's why I don't know if that would necessarily be the case.
Or
I don't know.
Or maybe it's just they phrase it so it looks like glass or something, so it's like you're looking out into the bay, but you're behind glass.
Yes, because it is what's it called, right? It's a Star Destroyer bridge.
Yeah.
Oh, hangar bay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But the whole idea of like you get into one door on that transport thing, and then you get captured by the First Order, and then while all this is happening, you're secretly turning, and then you go out the same door, and now you're on the ship.
It's going to be unreal.
That's just amazing. But the thing that kills me about this video, if you guys haven't seen this video, go watch this video. Unless you don't want spoilers. But
unless you're me.
Yeah, unless you don't want spoilers. But the thing that kills me is like they're shooting off like laser blasts, and I don't know if this is just for the video. I don't know if this is real life, but I know Disney filed a patent to make it look real, like when they shoot off like the laser, guns, and to make it look like they're actually being shot off. But in this video, it looks real, and I don't know if this is just the video or if it's going to look like this in real life.
If they can emulate blaster fire on that level, I mean, yeah, that, like you said, Damon, this is something else. Like,
Yeah, this is definitely something else.
I'm
There's nothing I've been this, like, even Harry Potter, like, this is beyond that. Like, I want to see this so bad.
Yeah.
so here's the thing: is that the last time I went on Flight of Passage, the person next to me
looks like a cartoon, but go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, no, but the person next to me got off and said that they liked that more than Harry Potter. So I put Flight of Passage.
They're crazy.
Yeah. Well, no, hold on. But they're both in the same ballpark. It's not that, Flight of Passage is like miles behind Harry Potter.
Ooh.
It's just different, I think, right?
Yeah, the problem with the Flight of Passage is that it's computer generated, and I can see that immediately when I get on the ride. Doesn't look real. But
Isn't Harry Potter like that though? You're in front of a screen and
but it's a screen of real stuff.
Right, no, so it's not because it's Harry Potter.
Good one. There we go. So think about it like this, right? So Trevor, this is something that you can definitely relate to before I go. So hopefully I'll tell Trevor this and then just leave, and then he won't be able to answer me back. But no, I kid. All right. So
Just
here's
do
the
a
thing.
mic drop.
We'll save it for next week.
So think about it like this, right? So let's just say you're playing. What's your favorite game? Right now.
Right now,
Yeah, sure. Oh my goodness, this shouldn't be that hard.
Dark
Trevor.
Souls. Let's go with Dark Souls.
Fine, Dark Souls. Okay, so on the PC, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming you have a high def monitor.
Yes.
Okay, so you're playing that at a resolution that 2K or 4K. What are you at?
2K.
Okay, fine. So you're playing that in 2K versus 10, not even 1080p. I'll even take you down to 480p. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Which one looks more real?
No, I
Right, and I think that's what it is with Harry Potter for me, right? Like that 480p, it's still real versus Flight of Passage at 4K not looking real. Computer generated versus real action. That's my opinion, and that's why I like Harry Potter more, but that's just me. But I got to give you a minute at least to rebut if you'd like to rebut.
Okay, all right. Well, so that's fair. And I think what you're delineating between is Avatar is all CG, whereas Harry Potter is real actors. So
correct.
I can see that.
And backgrounds.
So I can see that versus I'm just looking purely at how the rides themselves are structured. Is that to me the rides both seem like they're on the same level, barring the actual visual
Which
effects.
ride? The one where you're on an actual arm that's moving versus just sitting on this horseback ride that I could put 25 cents in and tippity hop my way down? You see what I'm saying, right? Like I don't consider them the same because I'm on a moving arm versus just sitting on something.
Yeah, but I mean, the idea is that you don't feel like you're just sitting on something, right? I mean, the video in combination with the ride moving.
I feel like I'm just sitting on something, which is why I don't necessarily love that ride.
You know, if you want to boil it down to that, that's fair. I mean, that's
but that's just my opinion, and everyone's
exactly.
Opinion, so
I'm not
Sure.
I'm not going to argue that.
Yeah,
I'm not a huge Flight of Passage fan. I'm just not. I'm just not. I don't know how else to put it. I'm just not.
Right now, because I haven't been over to Universal, that's where I'm keeping the bar, and I'm fully expecting Rise of Resistance to go beyond that.
Oh, if it doesn't, I'd be sorely disappointed.
Yeah,
I mean, at this point, it almost like has to, right? I mean, just even just like the track, like you said, the trackless ride.
Yeah.
At one point, it turns into a simulator. There's a drop apparently in it. There's all sorts of crazy stuff in this ride. It just looks crazy.
I'm worried.
I leave you guys at over an hour already, so you guys have a blast with the rest of it.
Okay.
Thank you, Damon. Enjoy your soccer game.
Yep. Enjoy your soccer game. Is right.
Yeah.
So what were you going to say, Trevor? I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I guess my only concern with this is that, we're hyping this up quite a lot, and I've boarded the hype train before, and it doesn't always lead where you think it's going to lead. So that's my only concern with this.
I get it. I'm just looking at it. If it's anything close to what they're showing in the concept art and in the video, which I know you really have avoided, right? So you haven't even really seen some of this stuff, right? Or have you just kind of caught it sometimes accidentally?
I've seen just the pictures. I haven't watched any of the videos yet. So.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, the video they have posted on their site right now is a pretty short video, but it just looks really cool. I mean, there's just so many cool things happening. I don't know, man. just the scale of this ride. I mean, Disney said this is the largest ride they've ever built. I mean, it's gigantic. So just by itself it's just going to be a spectacle,
Yeah. I guess all I can really do for myself to boil it down is when I get off Flight of Passage, I have a feeling that I can't even describe. Like, it's just pure happiness is probably the best way to put it. Like my son and I get off, and in the time it takes to walk out of the building, like, you're just high. Like, it's so, you're so high on the moment and just what you did. I mean, if these Star Wars rides, like I haven't even done Smuggler's Run yet, and I'm sure I'll have the same feeling. If this manages to keep bringing that feeling back, I mean, yeah, Disney's, they're going to knock it out of the park. And I don't doubt that they will. I'm just more erring on the side of caution. And I guess I'm also, if I don't hype myself up on it, then there's no way I'll be disappointed. Like, I'll just be happy with it.
You just don't want to be disappointed by it, because you want to, you feel like it's going to be really great, and you want it to be really great. So you don't want to build it up too much. But yeah, it's funny because my stepfather and my mom came with me to Disney, last time in June. And they had never been on Flight of Passage, right? That was new since because they hadn't been to Disney since, my stepfather hadn't been there since 1999. So he had a lot of new things to see. But I remember thinking to myself after we got off the ride, I'm like, I don't know how he feels about this. And I was like, what did you think? And he goes, because that was the most, and he's like, I don't know the word, but he's like, I think it was like the most intense ride I've ever been on. And what he meant by that, and I see what he means, because for me, I don't see it like Damon does, because I feel like they do such a good job of syncing up the movement of what you're sitting on with what you're doing, where, when you're diving into the woods, you feel like you're diving into the forest. Like I feel that, I almost get like, like feel like I'm going on a roller coaster and I'm going down a hill, even though I'm not moving. So I don't know. That's just kind of how I think, but, and from a lot of the reactions of the people that I've, that have been on it, my mom kind of said the same thing. My mom's not a big ride person. I think I probably get that from her, but, and she was even like, wow, that was a lot, like it was surprising to her too. So I get it. I understand why, he might feel that way, but this seems like a whole different can of worms. I mean, I just from a nerd perspective, and I know you're on the same page with me about this, Trevor, I'm just excited the idea of the trackless vehicles, all these different ride systems that they're incorporating that are just going to make this a whole really cool experience. I'm psyched for it. I can't wait for it. I can't wait to check it out and go on it and see all that.
Yeah, you're right. The thing about this ride is that it intersects my Star Wars nerdism and intersects my Disney ride.
Your Imagineering nerdism.
Yeah. In a very, it's a very specific place that I didn't think would happen. Like, I mean, for years, Star Tours was just, Star Tours. And it was always like, oh God, could you imagine if they did that on a bigger scale? And it's like, and here we are.
Yep. Yeah, here we are. Yeah, it's exactly right. Instead of just being a screen in front of you, now it's all real stuff in front of you, right? Because I think all those stormtroopers, they're basic animatronics, but they're still animatronics. It's not a screen. They're still there, physically there. And from the video I saw, like when you walk in, it looks like all of them lift their head up to look at you, like in a moment. It seems kind of terrifying. It actually, if that's how it's going to shake out. But also just, really cool and awesome. And that's why I really can't wait for it. And, I just think it's going to be a technological marvel that they put out there, with all these different ride systems. And it seems like they maybe even created a few along the way, besides the trackless. It seems like they're doing some other things that they've never done before. So, the other thing though, I'm thinking, it's interesting to me because I've seen a lot of people talk about how maybe that the wait times in Smuggler's Run have not been very long, right? Almost like that's a bad thing, which is weird to me. Like, where it's like, oh, well, the ride's not all that busy. That must mean that that it's
a
not
bad
very
ride.
good. Yeah, but then when I read somebody, I think it was Bob Chapek that runs the parks. He said, well, part of the reason is because the thing doesn't break down ever. And I was thinking about it. I was like, I've yet to see someone post on Facebook that it's broken down yet.
Yeah. Oh, we're waiting in line. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen so, and I know it's because they have a lot of different parts of it. But even for Avatar, you remember? I mean, Avatar still has problems now. I mean, Flight of Passage still has problems now. You never see this thing break down, so it's good at churning people out, right? So even at 80-minute wait time, it's still churning out a ton of people. And it's funny to me because it's like, oh, it's only a half-hour wait. It must be a terrible ride. No one wants to go on that. It's like, well, no, maybe it's just really good at pulling people through, and it's very reliable, which is surprising.
Yeah, I can't wrap my head around people who equate wait time to must be a bad ride, because if that was the case, Haunted Mansion at 30 minutes would be a bad ride. Like, don't ever tell me that because I got into my ride quicker that it's a bad ride. Like,
and similarly, you can't say, okay, well, Frozen's the greatest ride ever because it has a 90-minute wait every day. Well, no, it's low capacity. It's always been, they took an already low capacity ride system and then made it, attached a very popular franchise to it. Yeah. And then now you have really long waits. Now, it's a good ride. I think it's really well done. It has some of the coolest animatronics I've seen. Like the Olaf one in that ride is one of the cooler ones I've seen. But, and it's fun. It's just a fun ride. But, I wouldn't wait an hour and a half for it probably, but at the same time, we always equate, well, it's a longer wait, so it must be a better ride. That's not always the case, right? I mean, as much as I love Peter Pan, it's always got a, ridiculous wait. And it's
because it's a terrible system.
Yeah, it's a terrible. Literally, I would love for a cast member to write into me about this. I noticed the last time I was on that one of the cast members is holding a garage door opener. And I said jokingly to one of them, it was like, what garage door are you opening? Because it's a literal garage door opener. Yeah. And I'm assuming it's to stop the ride or to stop the conveyor belt or something. But I was like, what kind of like ghetto like ride system are they using a generic garage door opener to stop?
Well, I mean, it's a basic, probably a RF system is all it is. Yeah, you're right.
It's just funny to me, to see that. So I don't know.
How everything else seems very elaborate with Disney, and that it's like we put a garage door opener here in because
exactly
it works. Yeah,
because this ride has been here for 40 years. So.
Yeah, I guess another example, just to reiterate what you're saying about wait times don't always add up, is Indiana Jones is a great example of a ride that it's a good ride. Don't get me wrong, I love Indiana Jones, but it breaks down all day. Like, it has so many breakdowns, and of course it's got the double whammy because it's popular and it keeps breaking down. So the wait times on it are grossly inflated, like more than it should be, because it is like a 25-year-old ride now. Mm-hmm. So like it shouldn't be like that, but because of all the technical issues, they have those problems. With Star Wars, they've obviously, over the last 20 years, they've learned a lot. They've tried to, incorporate these things into these rides as best they can. It sounds like, with Smuggler's Run, they had that brainwave of, let's make this thing modular enough that, one side of it can break down, but it doesn't overall affect, or like nobody will notice because, we have enough redundancy built into it that the queue just keeps moving. I'm hoping that Rise of the Resistance is the same, is that they've got it set up in some way that people are just always moving through it.
Yeah.
Or that they've always got places where, they can redirect people if one part of it falls down. Because if not, you're talking about like the full experience is, 30, 40 minutes. If that breaks at any one point and you have to, boot everyone off the ride, oh my gosh, like.
Well, and with so many different like parts to the ride, it just introduces a lot of spots for failure, right?
Yeah.
So, because then if you have one piece of it fail, then, do you have the whole ride fail? Like if that beginning part where you're, getting on that ship that takes you to the, to the destroyer, what if that breaks down? Does that shut the whole thing down? Because that's a key part of the story. Like how are they going to handle that? So I'm interested to see.
Yeah. And that's exactly what happens at Indy is that the way that they designed the system was that one thing will fail and they have to do a full reset.
Oh yeah, and that becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Well, and that's, I'm thinking about it too, though. Like, you're right, though, with the way that the Smuggler's Run is set up, that makes it, it makes it so that if it did break down, there's, there's 4, I think, of those different setups. So if one of them broke down, they still have 3 other ones that, they could direct people to. And I mean, it is similar in Avatar, but the thing is, it's a giant theater. So it's a lot more noticeable if one of those shuts down, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'll be interested to see how they handle that. I will. And it's funny because I read, I think it was Marty Sklar's book, famous engineer, Imagineer. Go ahead. Sorry.
I just said, I know who Marty is.
And he was talking about, Universal Energy, actually. I know Damon's not here to talk about it, but he was talking about when they brought that ride up, that when they first had it, because it was, that was kind of, if you think about it, the first, trackless, ride that Disney really had. I mean, it was completely trackless. It ran through wires in the ground, and that's kind of what the system is now. It's a lot more complicated, but it's, that was a big thing. A moving theater, I don't think, had ever been built at that point, right? It's a whole moving, you're moving hundreds of people at a time. And he was talking about how it used to break down all the time and how it took them years to get it up to like 99% efficiency. And so it's interesting that it seems like they've really, they built this thing in a way that makes it very efficient and able to move through people. So I know we just talked about like ride efficiency for like 10 minutes, but I thought it was interesting.
Well, I think it's important because, with Smuggler's Run recently opened and Rise of the Resistance coming, I've been watching. The hard part is right now, because of the hurricane in the last week, it's really skewed how Star Wars Land is operating, because they literally opened and then people were,
that a hurricane happened.
Yeah. So if you think about it, in Disneyland they had the annual pass holder blockouts and everything, so we haven't had an accurate representation of that. And then in Disney World, we still haven't had an accurate representation of how it operates, at a busy time either. So,
with the exception of the opening day, right? And the day after, maybe.
Right. But I mean, opening day is opening day. Like,
exactly.
You expect that. But I was more curious about, how is this thing going to operate on a regular day? Like as people are getting into it. But it's probably going to be another couple of weeks before we really see how these lands operate with actual stress on them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's very interesting to, like, it kind of worries me, but at the same time, I feel like Disney has attempted to address these things as best they can. And actually that kind of goes back to the other subject about the virtual queue, right? That we kind of skipped over that, is that, they are using the virtual queue system in Galaxy's Edge. But of course they haven't had to use it because there haven't been enough people there.
They used it the first day though, and it seemed like it worked perfectly. I do think that they will have to go back to it at some point. I do think that when Rise of the Resistance opens, I think they're going to have another rush of people, and I think they're going to have to go back to it.
Oh yeah. I don't think they'll go back to it. I think the queue system is just there. I think
it's just there. Yeah.
Yeah. It'll kick in when it needs to. The only thing that I'm concerned about, I haven't really seen anybody, I've seen people ask the question, I haven't seen an answer on it, is if you have a reservation. So we have a reservation at the Droid Depot. How does that work? Like, can me and my son go up and say, hey, we've got this reservation at this time, and they'll just let us in? Or do we have to ensure that we're in the queue or that we are in the land?
No. So if you have a reservation, you're guaranteed to be able to go in. I did read that.
Okay.
So if you have a reservation, even if they're on the virtual queue system, then you can still go in because you have a reservation. I mean, they charge you if you don't show up, right? So
that was the thought. The only other thing that sucks about that too is that for like lightsabers and the droids, so I booked it for one person doing it, which is, so my son's doing it and then I get to go in with him. But then
but your wife can't go. Right.
Yeah, my wife and the rest of the family, because my parents are coming with us.
That's right.
They'll have to wait outside, or they have to so it'll be we'll go into Star Wars Land if there's a queue system, we'll go in,
Yeah.
And you know, we get to go and do the droid thing, but then they have to wait outside of Star Wars land if I haven't gotten them in at that point. So it's kind of it's a little awkward.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes total sense, because that would make things a little bit difficult. But, you know, I don't think, I mean, I don't know if they're going to have to use it again until Rise of the Resistance opens. So I don't know. We'll have to find out. But so many people reschedule week-long trips that it's been, you know, because of the hurricane, and who knows when they rescheduled them to, right? I mean, they probably didn't reschedule it to just the next week. It's probably for, you know, later this year. So...
Yeah, I mean, when we had the hurricane, we actually just pushed 2 weeks out. But yeah, I mean, I think in September, because we're in September now, it is easier to find time in September because it is the slowest month. I think getting into October and November, I don't know how many people would actually, I mean, people may look at that, or they may just go, you know, skip right past that and go into January, because yeah, it's so hard with Star Wars land. It's so hard to like gauge how people are going to behave, because you would have thought that it would have just been absolutely packed, but it's like that thinking has actually pushed people away.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I do believe that that's the case, and that's the reason why it hasn't been packed, is people were scared of what it was going to be. By the way, did you see Disney throwing some shade at Universal? I saw this and I was like, oh man. They said something about how 10-hour wait times are a failure.
Ooh, burn.
I was like, oof.
Yeah,
we all know what they're referring to.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was when they were talking about the ride efficiency of Smuggler's Run, that you shouldn't have 10-hour lines. And I mean, truthfully, like, listen, no one can argue that they've done a fantastic job of managing these lands. I mean, you can't argue against that. They've done an amazing job of managing the crowds for Star Wars. It almost makes you wish they had the virtual queue in place when they did Avatar, you know?
Yeah, actually, after experiencing that firsthand, the virtual queue would have been miles better than watching the lineups and the traffic managing of, you know, the line going all the way back outside of Pandora.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they've learned a lot of lessons from that, truthfully. I think that is what led to the virtual queue, you know?
Yeah.
So... but so I'm just glad that, you know, after for many, many episodes saying I don't see how it's possible that they're not going to use a virtual queue. And then they finally decided like a couple days before to announce that the virtual queue was happening. I was like, oh man, it feels good to be right and not be like, you know, be the crazy one here.
Yeah,
so
something completely out of left field happens that none of us saw. Yeah.
So I don't want to talk a lot about this, because I think this topic has been beat to death. Oh, no,
I don't even drink Coke, so I don't care about.
I do want to talk about the cool Coke stand. That I do want to talk about, and I don't even want to talk about it for that long. But I saw that they have a themed Coca-Cola like stand with like a droid on the end of it. Did you see this? And I guess it moves around too. I've seen some videos. So it like moves its head, you know, and beeps and boops and all that fun stuff.
So it looks like an R2 unit.
It does,
right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just like attached to the end of this stand where you would go and buy those cool thermal detonator bottle things. So no, I think that's neat that they did that. Even though I don't love I mean, they made it so that it's not, again, like super Coca-Cola-y, right? It's the colors, obviously, and you know your mind immediately goes.
But it's written in Arabash, which is, you know, nice that they enforce that.
Yeah, and it's just, I just find it very neat that they have the droid on the end of it. I think that's really cool. I would love if they did more stuff like that.
So what this actually looks like to me is from watching like Rebels and stuff like that. It's the like whenever they're transporting stuff in docking bays and whatnot, it was like it's like these anti-grav carts that they have the droids drive around. That's what this looks like. It's supposed to be like a shipping crate kind of thing, but with the droid on the end.
Yeah, it's kind of, I can see what you mean about that. That's really interesting. It's cool. Yeah. I like it. And so we'll talk really quickly about the stupid TSA thing, because so everyone on Facebook was posting, TSA bans the thermal detonator. First of all, the fact that it's called the thermal detonator. Yeah. It never banned it in the first place. Okay. Yeah. So
when they didn't ban it too, I mean, the whole reason behind it, or what people were claiming, was that it was because they look like a hand grenade.
And I mean, they do.
Yeah, but that's not
know.
the reason that they, so one person got refused, but the reason was because like any other pop bottle, it's an oversized liquid. And that's why they said they couldn't bring it on as carry-on.
But, this got kind of, it kind of spread, like however, I don't know how it spread, but it showed up and then all of a sudden it's on all these different websites, TSA bans thermal detonators, soda bottles. And so, now they've clarified, no, you can bring them through, So, basically they're, like you said, they're now treating them like an oversized liquid. So, it looks like you can put them in checked baggage, or if it's empty, it can be brought through as a carry-on. So,
yeah,
it's a nothing story, really.
that's my thing, or my only thing is, one, I wouldn't take a bottle of pop and throw it in my checked luggage because that's just asking for it.
Yeah,
but fine. I guess empty the thing because I guess why do you want to bring back a full bottle of pop?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's it is a neat souvenir. I mean, I like it's a cool little souvenir, but I wouldn't bring back a full one. I drink it first, I feel like.
Yeah.
But as Damon said, not my problem. I drive there, so.
Well, I fly, and actually,
are you going to buy one when you go? I mean,
well, I think my wife said one of her coworkers collects Coke paraphernalia, so I think she was planning to buy one and give it to him, but she said, she's like, I'm just going to empty the thing and throw it in the luggage. I don't care because I don't want to have a bottle of soda explode in my luggage either. So
yeah, there's also that. Yeah. Why would you do that? That just seems like a bad idea.
Yeah.
Well, so some of the other things, we don't need to talk about that more.
Yeah.
Some of the other things.
Let's talk about the Star Wars Hotel.
Yeah. Some more Star Wars Hotel stuff came out, and Damon kind of touched on the engineering room, which is like a kids' play area, which is it looks pretty neat from the one picture they posted.
I like it. I like the idea behind it. Like it looks like a lot of like moving pieces and like there's crawl spaces and. Yeah,
like
I mean
pipes
pipes and stuff. That looks cool. That looks like something. They say it's a kid area, but let's be honest. I would probably spend just as much time in there.
I mean, like all the kid areas at Disney, I kind of want to spend time in because they're just like fun stuff, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's like I remember when when Innoventions used to have, I forget what it was called, and someone's going to call me out on this, but there was a thing for a while where you could like, there was like. You could like break things. There was like robots and like you would push buttons and it would like, I don't know, like kick a window or something like that. And, there was all sorts of these like little kind of kid things that you could play with like robotics and stuff like that. And I was all about it. Mm-hmm. Or even just like Colortopia that's there now. I don't know if you've ever done that experience. I mean, that's not for adults.
Well, but again, everything at Disney, it's like, I don't care. I'm here. I'm going to try it.
Yeah, exactly. It's fun.
Yeah.
So I think that looks cool. I like the lounge. So I don't know. Maybe somebody can tell me what Star Wars reference this is, but I don't know. But it's called the Silver Sea Lounge. And you can have drinks there. And I'm guessing, because this is a cruise ship type experience that they're all included, but it looks like it's also for all ages. But it also says you can play, what is it, Sabacc? Is that how you say that, right?
Sabacc, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically chess.
Yeah, how are they going to... I thought it... Wait, is Sabacc the card game, or is that the one that's on like the Millennium Falcon, like the little hologram game? My Star Wars knowledge is not up there, so...
I thought... Oh.
I
might be wrong on this, too. I thought Sabacc was the chess, but yeah, that might be...
Because in the picture, it looks like they're playing chess. They're playing the card game.
No, sorry, that's what they play at the cantina.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know how that's going to go. Like, how are they going to teach people how to play that? I don't know.
Also, by the way, so you said this is called the Silver Sea. You should probably emphasize that it's the letter C, not
the letter C, yes,
and not SEA. Yeah,
that's a good point. I do find it interesting in this concept art that the waitress in the concept art looks to be like an alien of some sort. Something you'd see in a bar in Star Wars, like, full makeup and prosthetics and such. It looks like there's a droid roaming around in the background. There's like an R2 unit thing in the background. Who knows if this is actually, this is concept art, right? So we don't really know what's going to happen, it might not ever come to fruition like this.
Yeah, I feel like they multiple times they've shown the aliens.
Yeah.
And I mean, so far, we've seen people dressed as, like that they belong there, but nobody that's actually looked like in a full alien.
Oh wait, we did. So did you watch the opening ceremony? Because they had a guy dressed like the guy that's an animatronic on Smuggler's Run, and I don't know his name. I think he's from
Yondu. No, not Yondu. Hondo.
Yeah,
Hondo
yeah.
Ohnaka.
They had a guy with prosthetics like out there talking. I saw a video of it, but that guy's not wandering around. He was just there to do the announcement of for the opening day. So,
right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, anything else about Star Wars? We should probably continue on here because we're getting late. So
just a quick. So that alien you're talking about is someone's gonna roast me for this, but I believe the species is a Twi'lek or Twi'lek.
All I know is that it looks like an alien that I saw in The Fifth Element. Remember that movie? It looks like an alien from that.
The opera singer?
Yes, it looks like right? It looks like the opera singer from Fifth Element. Okay.
I was more thinking like in Jabba's palace, the
I could see
Twi'lek
that too.
people are there. But yeah, I don't think we're going to see that.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I think Disney over-designs stuff on purpose and then just kind of pares it down as they go along, right? So
yeah.
do like what the ideal best possible thing would be, and then
see what's actually feasible.
Exactly. Bring it down a little bit.
Yeah.
So
okay.
You want to talk about the Skyliner thing really quick? I thought
So we're disconnecting from Star Wars land,
and Star Wars.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the bus transportation and the Skyliner. So, guests staying at the Skyliner station resorts will have the option of taking the bus or the gondola. I don't know. This didn't seem surprising to me, but I don't know.
Well, but that being said, I mean, there are times where you're forced to take the monorail to don't they don't offer buses from Poly to Epcot, right?
Yeah, I suppose that's true. I think that's really more the exception to the rule because
probably right. Yeah,
I mean the Poly or just those 3 resorts around Magic Kingdom, those are the only ones that don't offer. I mean, obviously, because they're connected right to Magic Kingdom, they don't offer alternate transportation. And then the Epcot thing, yeah, I mean, I think that was back when they were doing the monorail. I'm sure they realized with the Skyliner is that they can't feasibly force everyone to take the Skyliner.
Yeah, because people are afraid of heights or, don't want to be... hanging from a rope. Yeah, claustrophobic. There's all sorts of reasons why they wouldn't want to ride it. But we were talking about this before, where I think someone asked, like, "Oh, do you?" I think maybe you said this on a podcast. Is like, do you think that the Skyliner would make them get rid of the buses or get rid of something? I thought somebody said it. And, I think this is, a good idea. It's all the above, right? The idea of this is to take some stress off the other transportation systems, the boats and the buses. So, the Skyliner will help with those things. But, you'll still have the option of the bus if you want to.
Yeah. And I think the only way they could ever completely get rid of the buses is if the Skyliner would have to be very robust. Like it would have to be set up in such a way that the throughput on it would be, super high capacity for people coming and going from the parks during open and close. And it would have to cover, you would have to have Skyliners going to multiple resorts from a single theme park.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because right now it's just as it stands right now, there's just 2 paths that the Skyliner follows. So it alleviates a little bit for those resorts, but outside of that, yeah, it's not sufficient for that kind of...
The whole system, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I just thought it was interesting that I figured that they would keep it, but I know a lot of people were worried about it, So if you don't want to ride the gondolas, you don't have to.
But I want to ride the gondolas.
I do too. Yeah. Trust me. They open my first day that I'm there, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to be at Animal Kingdom, but the next day I'm going to be at Epcot. maybe we could swing over to Hollywood Studios just to try out the gondolas, you know?
Right. That's what I'm thinking too, is I just want to find an excuse, like maybe I guess maybe my thought is, you know, same for us is, you know, we're going to Hollywood Studios. Maybe we get on the monorail, go over to Epcot, walk back to the International Gateway, and then take the gondola over. But I know that's way longer than just getting on the bus. But
you got to do it. Like, the monorail's a ride. That means the gondolas are a ride too. Okay, everything at Disney's a ride. The boat ride is a ride. It's all a ride.
Yeah.
So, so let's really quickly here, because I think we should try to wrap this thing up. By the time you're hearing this, Club Cool will be gone, as will the Fountain of Nations. Gone.
Yeah.
It's sad. Don't get me wrong.
Pour one out for
I want to
Beverly.
propose. What did you say?
Pour one out for Beverly.
Yeah, that's right. You know what I think they should do? And I think it would be cool if they do this. You can make the non-alcoholic version of Drink Around the World, where you put a soda at each that's free still, at each one of the countries that's native to that country. And you could still have Beverly, because that's that's an Italian one, right? Yeah. So then you go and you drink around the world with soda. I think it's a brilliant idea, but you know,
you keep your sugar up too for that long walk, because
I mean, you know, you get some exercise along the way. But listen, Disney said that they will bring back Club Cool. It's going to relocate. I'm just interested to see where that's going to be. But I am sad about all this. You know, I'm excited for all the changes, but it's, you know, I'm just thinking to myself, I'm going to be there in 3 weeks. There is going to be a ton of construction going on at Epcot. There's going to be so many walls up. It's going to be a train wreck. So I'm sad about it, though.
Yeah, me too. But I'm also, I know it'll be better when it's done.
Exactly.
I just keep telling myself that.
Exactly right. Yeah, and that's what you have to remember. But I mean, that the fact that whole building is going to be torn down. I think I saw some reports that Disney's already removed that building from the app. Like, it's just green space now where that building was, which is crazy. And I don't know how long it's going to take them to tear it down, but I'm assuming they're going to move fairly quickly on that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they don't want to waste time with getting all this stuff stood up again.
Well, and I'm also kind of surprised that they're not doing it in stages, like, you know, closing off the Fountain of Nations by itself and tearing that down, and then closing off, you know, like, because that's gonna make for quite a bottleneck walking through Future World trying to get yourself to World Showcase. There's not going to be a lot of room to walk, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting because I'll want to hear your take on it, and then I'll have to see how it is for myself like a month later when we're there.
Yeah.
Because
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting for sure. Okay, so last topic.
Yeah.
Last topic here. Do you want to talk about this one since I've been yammering?
Disney patents a catapult system to make boat rides more efficient. So the idea behind this is that so you know, like when you go on Pirates of the Caribbean or Splash Mountain or any of those boat rides, is that they have. You always get the boats that, you know, build up at the end of the ride, and you gotta wait forever for like the boats to get, to kind of catch up with the boat in front of them, and then they keep bumping into each other and all that. What it sounds like is that this is going to help speed up the time it takes for those boats to go from nothing to caught up with the rest of the ride, because the rides are all based on the water flow. But there's always a delay when you have to stop a boat. It takes a little bit for it to gather its momentum again. So it sounds like they're looking at a system that'll mean that the whole ride will move more consistently, which means you won't have those backups at your loading and unloading station as much, I guess is the idea.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely a good thing because there's so many boat-based rides at Disney, right? And that is a big problem. And I actually think I've read before that one of the reasons that Frozen breaks down so much is because the boats get out of sync, because those boats are tied to those specific scenes, and if the boat, you know, is too slow for whatever reason, maybe you have me sitting in the front of it weighing it down. You know,
well, also it's not just that, but there's also there is a window on how long it's supposed to take to load a boat.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what happens, is that if it takes longer than it should, that screws up the whole system. So I guess for us, as you know, people riding the ride, talk to your friends like when the ride's over, talk to your friends when you get out of the boat. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
like there's been so many times where like on Pirates, you know, you're standing there at the gate, it opens up, and the people in there are like they're still chatting and they're still getting their stuff together and everything. It's like you have enough time leading up to where the boat undock or where you're supposed to get off the boat that you can gather up all your stuff and just, you know, pick it up and walk off. But it's like people don't do that until the ride's already stopped. Like, sorry, that's just my side rant on it is, you know, they wouldn't need the system if people would actually, you know, get their butts in gear.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I the one I think of that's, I feel like the worst besides Small World, because every time I've ever been on Small World, I get stuck in the last room and you get you bump the boat in front of you and you get bumped from the boat in back of you. The other one is the Three Caballeros ride too. That one is also similarly terrible, where you get wrecked by boats from both ends. So I mean, I think this is a good thing, but and you know, with how many boat rides there are, and if that's going to you know, make the rides more efficient and, you know, make them you know, have safety cutouts or, you know, whatever other issues less, I think that's a good thing. But it's
less wait time.
Yeah, less wait time, right? And less and more uptime. So that's good. Although it's funny to me that they even need this, because I believe the way the boats work in the Shanghai version of Pirates of the Caribbean is kind of like this already. I think they're kind of like almost think of them like a trackless ride but on water. Like,
yeah, they have a propeller or something in them that.
Yeah, like they don't have any, like, you know, you're used to Pirates of the Caribbean where you're between two rails and you're just banging back and forth between the two rails. On that ride, if you've ever watched videos of it, there's no rails. You don't know where you're going to go. So I'm surprised they even need this. Why can't they just make everything like that ride? I don't know.
I'm thinking probably just exactly what you said is that because it's an older ride system, they have to accommodate to that. I wonder if because I'm thinking this would probably operate similar to, you know how like a jet ski works?
Yeah.
Where, you know, it sucks water in and then pushes it out the back.
Pushes it back out again.
Yeah. I wonder if it's going to be something like that where they kind of use that same technology to push the boats forward.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. You know, it seems like there's some sort of mechanism that stops the boat. And then when it's, you know, when it's ready to disengage, then it catapults it forward somehow. So like you said, maybe is it built into the boat? Is it something on the side of the boat? I don't know. It's interesting.
I would think it would have to be built into the boat. And then like you said, you know, trackless ride systems is that you can actually sync them all up at the same time. Yeah. So instead of like on Pirates where all the boats bang into each other, is that they're all aware of each other enough that they stop, you know, where they need to. And then when they go, they all go at the same time. So it's not that like chain reaction or it's like a traffic jam, right? Where the guy at the front finally starts moving and then everybody else has to like get up to speed.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a traffic pileup. So, all right. Well, anything else you want to say about that, or should we wrap this thing up?
Yeah, let's wrap this up because, I think for not having a lot to talk about, we certainly talked about a lot
every time. Trust me, my wife.
I don't know why we keep kidding ourselves. We should know by now. We just like to talk.
We do. We just like to talk. That's the problem. So go ahead.
I wouldn't call it a problem because, you know.
People seem to like it. I mean, they don't seem to mind the long podcast. So
exactly. All right. So So for anything that we've talked about on this episode, or if you got any questions or follow-ups or anything, you can email us at welcomehomepodcast@gmail.com. We like your questions. We like, as you heard, you know, we had some good discussions with some of our listeners. So keep it coming, guys. Also, I will mention the Facebook group again. You guys should see that as this podcast comes out. Go to the Facebook page and look for this episode. There should be a link to the Facebook group, hopefully.
As long as I remember.
Yeah. If you don't, I will post it. We'll make sure it gets there.
We might do it separately from the podcast post, just so we make sure that everybody sees it. So.
Well, but I think we should actually link. Like, we'll have a link on the episode.
Yeah, we'll have it there. We'll have it in there.
It should be everywhere by the time you guys listen to this episode.
Exactly.
Also, so as usual on social media, you can find us on Facebook as Welcome Home Podcast. We're fairly active on there. We like talking to you guys. If you have Twitter, You can subscribe to us at Welcome Home Pod, Instagram, Welcome Home Pics. Those both feed from our Facebook page, so you still get all the pictures and all that kind of stuff from our Facebook feed. Also, if you would like to look at some merchandise, you can go to store.welcomehomepodcast.com. You can check out our shirts. Like you said earlier, Tom, I guess pins are going to be showing up on there, and maybe we'll have to design the golden button.
Yeah, we might have to do that. Yeah,
I think there's a couple of things we need to look at for this, but yeah. So if you guys want merch, go and have a look at our store, and you guys should see some new designs coming up in the future here as well as we get time.
We keep saying that, but and I know there haven't been any new ones, but there will be. I promise someday.
I mean, we're really fairly new with this, so it's it'll come. I already have some ideas in my head. It's just finding the time to get them down on paper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then, as usual, we do like the reviews. So whether it's on iTunes or Spotify or Google Play or whatever, please leave us a review because we do see those. We do read them. We like to hear your feedback, and we also like it because it helps other people find the podcast as well, because the more reviews and the more positivity we get, makes it easier for other people to find the podcast who may be looking for a Disney Parks and DVC podcast.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely review us. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to Welcome Home Podcast so you can be reminded every time we release a new episode. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, just about any place you can find podcasts. You can find us. Just search for Welcome Home. Look for the one that says Disney and DVC. That one is us. Of course, just a reminder to our listeners, as always, Welcome Home Podcast is for entertainment only. We are not employed by the Walt Disney Company, and as such, any and all opinions we express on this show are our own. So please contact a DVC member, a Disney cast member for anything we talked about today, to get confirmation of that. Huge thank you to DVC Rental Store. We appreciate them sponsoring this episode and being a partner of ours. We please check them out if you need to rent your points or you want to rent some points. Of course, join us next time for more Disney Parks discussion and DVC talk. We hope to see you all real soon.
This is Skipper Albert Awol, the voice of the jungle, signing off from Welcome Home Podcast on the DVC.
We do a huddle when we hit a chair. How she can cuddle is no man's affair. I looked around from pole to pole, found her in a sugar bowl.